My name is Cikü Mugambi. I'm originally from Kenya, but I live in Lagos. I'm the Chief of Staff and Head of Investor Relations at Kobo 360. Kobo 360 is an e-logistics and fintech platform where we connect micro fleet owners to shippers who have logistics needs. In school, I did my undergraduate degree was in actuarial science, and I'm also a certified public accountant, and then I have an MBA as well. No, not at all. I never really think beyond 5 years. So if you told me that, first of all, I would be living in Nigeria working for a startup, even just a year ago, I would never have believed you. I started off doing consulting, I transitioned into venture capital, and then this just became a right next step for me, given what I was looking for at the time. My first job out of school. So I did audit. I was an auditor with KPMG in East Africa. It was a generalist role, so we did everything from financial services to consumer and industrial goods, and everything in between. I feel privileged to have worked for organizations that embody a lot of positive values. And so I haven't really experienced any discrimination on account of being a woman. But there are just certain experiences that women find themselves facing that are unique because of the fact that we are women. So for example, you find that you feel like you need to explain yourself a bit more. You always have to make sure that everything you present is really, really like top of the range, because it's almost like you have to earn your position or your seat at the table, which I don't think is so much the case for men. If you're a woman entrepreneur and you're pitching to an investor, you find that perhaps the type of questions they ask you, the level of grilling they do, is a lot more rigorous compared to, for example, what a male founder would experience. Of course, these are not necessarily common across the board, but in my experience, occasionally, unfortunately, it's not been a lot, but once in a while, you find yourself in that situation. I've probably had about 4 transitions in my career, and I'll say every time I have transitioned into a new role, it's been extremely challenging. In each case, you're starting from scratch, right? So you've come from having experience and being good at what you're doing in your previous role, but that doesn't count for anything because now you're starting, you have to prove yourself afresh. And so oftentimes you have a lot of self-doubt, you have a lot of anxiety. I've experienced a lot of you're just really, really trying hard to make sure that you do your best and you give your best effort, but there's always that turning point once you kind of get your groove, which is so rewarding and so satisfying because you finally feel that you've kind of stepped into that position and you've earned it and you've owned it. So yeah, I think transitions in general. The most interesting thing about the company I work for, I'd say 2 things stand out. There's a lot, but 2 things really stand out. The first one is that, you come in with a certain expectation about what you're supposed to be doing, maybe based on your title. But then because it's a startup, like literally you do anything and everything that is needed to be done. So I'm supposed to be the chief of staff and managing investors, but I do operations, I do people management, I'm doing marketing, I'm doing like all these different things. And in as much as it's a lot, I really love it because it gives you a broad range of experience and exposure to a lot of things, which for me is really, really exciting. The second thing is the fact that I work with most of the organization is a bunch of like 22 to like 28-year-olds. So I'm working with really, and I'm not that old, but I'm definitely older than that. But it's just a bunch of really hungry, excited, energetic people who think that they can actually solve Africa's major problems, right? And everybody is really bringing that energy into the company and everybody has space to say and give ideas, challenge the status quo, there's really just an opportunity for everybody to have real impact, using their skills, using their experience, and actually make a difference in with all the people that we work with, whether it's fleet owners, whether it's drivers, whether it's shippers, whether it's bankers, anybody, and investors. Everybody really has that opportunity to apply themselves and make a difference. Kobo is 4 years old. It was launched in 2018. I was actually part of the investment team that led Kobo's seed round. And so it's almost like we've transitioned from being a toddler to now being a teenager. And hopefully we'll soon transition into now being a fully mature adult. So with every one of those milestones, there's a fresh set of challenges that present themselves that require a completely different skill set. So as a toddler, Kobo is trying to figure out product market fit, getting customers, getting drivers and truck owners, convincing banks to give you working capital. And many times, you're not really thinking more beyond that. That's the focus. Let me sell my product. Let me get customers. Let me get bankers to give me capital. Let me get fleet owners to use my platform. Nothing else is important except that. And fortunately, they were able to crack that. But now as you transition to being a teenager, you now need to build a sustainable business. So you need to have a proper foundation, proper processes, proper controls, proper, a lot more thoughtfulness in the strategy of the business. And so people like me coming on board are helping to kind of help flesh those things out. Because now if Kobo is to now become a fully mature adult, you can't be dealing with some of the early stage challenges that we faced when we were a baby. Right? So I think that there's a bunch of people that have come on board that are helping to lay the right foundation that can make sure the company is on a very stable and sustainable path to success. One mantra I live by is, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I probably say that to myself at least 10 times a day. I think a couple of things that, in fact, they're things that have recently become apparent to me is, first of all, just give yourself grace. There's a lot of things that you don't know and you will make many mistakes, but everybody's figuring it out as they go along. So give yourself the grace to allow for mistakes, allow for, you'll mess up a couple of times and it's okay, right? I think sometimes women tend to be super hard. We tend to be super hard on ourselves, but I think giving yourself that grace is really, really important. And then knowing that literally everybody's figuring out as they go along, for me is encouraging because I don't feel like I need to put a lot of pressure on myself to know everything. And then the other thing is just, do the work, right? So work hard, study hard, and challenge yourself to get out of your status quo, right? Or your comfort zone, which is, I feel like is also sometimes unique to women, where you feel like maybe you don't want to, for example, call up someone for a cup of coffee or a drink, because you're just like, will this person even want to meet with me? And even this is just a professional connection, but you just challenge yourself to do a lot more of those things, and use that as a stepping stone to making the right connections that can help you as you advance your career. And if you do the work, you give yourself grace and you get out of your comfort zone, then honestly, you'll be on the path to a really, really bright future. I will celebrate women's achievements.